All right, ladies, this is Alex from Mindful Attraction 2.0, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to deal with narcissistic men. And today we are here in New York City in Union Square Park. I was walking around today, and I was like, "Why do so many men looking at me?" And I'm like, "Oh, of course, it's the gay pride parade." I'm famous amongst gay men; they all love me for some reason. I wish all the women got the memo, and they were like, look, if guys are looking at me. You guys should also look at me, but whatever, right? I'll take it from anywhere that I could get it. Not like that though. Not like that. I'm straight, straight as a boat, right? Let's get started, right? The audio's good, everything's good, man. If I swear to God, anybody tells me I can't hear you, I'm kicking you out. I don't give a fuck, man, because then you're gonna fuck up the screen. I'm sorry, man, but that's the truth, dude. Don't fuck with me today. All right, so let's get started, right? This topic a lot of the times, and I don't make this video often because, to be quite honest with you, I'm only limited to, I don't know everything that women go through. I'm just a guy who is immature, who's still thinking superficially, and so there are some things that I just don't understand. But then I started seeing this question being asked a lot, and I was like, you know what, let me make a video on that. And that's because narcissistic people are some special kinds of individuals. They really, really make us extremely defensive when we're around them. They have a certain energy to them that's just absolutely repulsive. All right. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to deal with them. I'm going to show you strategies to deal with narcissistic men, strategies to circumvent their ego, strategies to deal with their ego, to help diminish their egos, and what you should do if a guy does not change. All right. And this is something more to do about you. Like always, I'm always blaming you guys. All right. Don't BuzzFeed me now, right? I'm like, oh my God, he's blaming women for our problems. No, I'm kidding, right? Right. So what's the cause of narcissism? The cause of narcissism, in my opinion, is lack of self-awareness. That's what I believe. Literally is lack of self-awareness. It's being so self-consumed by your problems, by your thoughts and images and perception of who you are, that you're not aware of other people's point of view. All right. So narcissism, a lot of the time, is simply a lack of self-awareness. Because this is the truth, is that when you're narcissistic, it's kind of like a fabric, right? It's kind of like a little fabric. You think this fabric is one fabric, but in reality, this fabric is more about the conglomeration of different strings. That if you actually go deep down and deconstruct this shirt, you'll see that it's not really a shirt, it's just different strings. So what's going on with narcissistic people is that their conceptual sense of self, the thoughts that they have, are so intermingled amongst each other. He has thought of him being an awesome person, and so it's so intermingled that he loses the sense of who he really is. He believes the image that he has of himself. And the problem with that was his life. Anytime a thought or even an idea that goes against his self-image, or an idea or a belief that diminishes his sense of self, defends it because he feels threatened. But that's not who he really is. The reason why he believes that's who he is because it's a lack of self-awareness. He's so consumed by the content of his mind, his conceptual sense of self, that produces forcefully compulsive thinking and trying to defend his position at all times. Really doesn't know that who he is the awareness. So this video is all about you allowing him to see that. This works. This works. Trust me. Not because of my experience in terms of dealing with narcissistic men, dealing with narcissistic women. All right. So, mind you, the cause of narcissism is lack of self-awareness, lack of being, right? Seeing the world through their own veil. So using the same thing, which is you are wrong, which is a thought form, his own ego is fighting fire with fire. It's like trying to fuck for virginity. You see what I'm saying? So what do you have to do? Rather than use fire with fire, use water. Water, Bruce Lee once said, he was empty your mind, be shapeless and formless like water. When you put water into a cup, it becomes a cup. You put it into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put it into a teacup. No, when you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it into a teacup, it becomes a teacup. Now water can flow or it can crash. But we be water, my friend. So what does he mean by that? Able to be fluid. and not have a position that you're standing for. Because the reason why he's getting defensive against you is because you're getting defensive. You're solidifying your sense of self based on a position that you have, which is you're wrong. I'm hungry. Stuff like that, right? It smells like food, Mexican food right here. When you use the tactics that I'm going to teach you, two things might happen. One, he might change. He actually might change. Who he is might actually change, right? Or two, the part that a lot of people don't realize, he might leave. Now this depends on the circumstance you live in. You might need him as your source, as your primary source of income, right? Might be something that's a struggle, but your sanity is priceless. I'm just letting you know what might happen, all right? So why is that? When you're confronted with someone who doesn't fight, who doesn't feed your mental position that you have of yourself, who doesn't battle with you, you feel like, I don't want to deal with this person anymore. So, narcissism is an addiction to pain. You see what I'm saying? It's because you're feeling a certain pain inside of you, and you're trying to cover the pain up through enhancing your sense of self. But in order for that, you need contrast. Either you're better than somebody in order to feel better. He puts you down. He tries to be right all the fucking time. Your responsibility is not about proving him wrong. Allowing him to believe what he believes without resistance. All right? Outside of that, I'm gonna show you psychological strategies. It's kind of tricky and kind of like a little that's very witty in nature, that will get him to come to your side of the story per se, right? But generally speaking, though, when you're arguing with a guy, when you're interacting with him, you want to notice your own defensiveness when you're talking to him, because narcissistic people arise in us a certain defensiveness, right? You asshole, you're wrong. Change, you idiot, right? And that defensiveness causes you to attack him. You know, you try to find reasons that he has to change. You try to find things that he's wrong in, right? And that's not the natural tendency. This is that his narcissism is reviving your own narcissism to the point that if you're not aware enough, you become narcissistic. Notice it. Why? Because you're fighting fire. So you're talking to him and he's like, I'm right, right? And you try to prove him wrong. Using these tactics, all you have to do is notice any defensiveness arising in you, any desire to prove him wrong, to show him how wrong he is. If you notice, anytime you feel defensive, anytime you feel the need to argue with him because his point is wrong, anything, observe your reaction. Observe yourself wanting to be right. Observe your mental position and your desire and need to be right, to show him how bad he is, to show him how much he needs to change yourself to experience that, rather than project it outside onto the world. Because in reality, if you project it, you're only doing it wrong. The cure becomes worse than the disease. 1 second. So let's say I'm arguing with you. Yo, you're wrong. For example, like yesterday, right? Yesterday, I was talking to this girl at the park, right? Did this random girl that I just met, and she's a cool girl. She might be watching this channel, right? I'm not talking shit on you, but I'm just telling you what happened, right? So we were arguing. I was like, yo, America's the best country in the world, right? And she was arguing with me. She was like, no, it isn't. I was like, oh, damn. And she was like bringing up different topics. She was snapping the fingers. She's like, right? And I didn't tell her that, right? And she's watching me. She's like, you fucking asshole. I thought you were going to be nice to me, right? But seriously, though, she was making me defensive. I was like, damn, like, you're wrong, right? That desire to react to her reaction, to react to her solidity, to react to her compulsive desire to be right, offensive. And so what tends to happen, and what happened is I almost a couple points in the interaction, I got defensive, right? And I actually started arguing. But then something that I began doing was I began to observe my own reactions. I'm like, okay, I'm getting defensive now, and relax into it, okay? And so what happened was, yes, we had a discussion, but because I allowed myself to experience the defensiveness rather than project it and trying to find relief to making her be wrong, it made us both into an undefensive. It put my defensive now my defensiveness, and perhaps in her case, her own defensiveness. Who knows? I might be wrong, right? Who knows? But the point is that when you allow yourself to do that, there's no argument. You cannot argue with someone who's not being defensive. That's just not how it works. You cannot spar with someone who doesn't want to spar with you. Narcissistic are always trying to be right, always trying to find a reason to a reason to be right. What you have to do is strategically fuck about being wrong. But this is more about the emotional intelligence to allow yourself to be wrong from time to time, to feel being wrong and be okay with it. Because a lot of times we don't like being wrong. And that's our own narcissism arising in us. Right? So that's the first thing. Practicing mindfulness, being present whenever you're around someone who's arising in your defensiveness. I'm telling you, this is all you have to do. Trust me. And when you feel the need to get back at them, to argue with them because they're wrong, I'm trying to feel better right now. Just ask yourself, am I trying to feel better? And observe it. Most likely, you are trying to feel better, right? Oh, yeah. What's that? What is, ¿qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? Arepa. Oh, mira para allá. ¿Cuánto era? 5. Está bien, está bien. That's cool. So yeah, that's like the mindful way to do this, right? Are your parents gonna sit here? Are your parents gonna sit here? No? Okay. So that's the first thing, right? Now here comes the strategies to deal with narcissism, right? All right. So this is where your standards come into place, right? Thing is, before you even get into a battle with someone, right, you got to be able to let go, because a lot of times how good we are when it comes to interacting with people is how willing we are to let go of them. It's that simple. Because if we're talking to someone and we feel like they're unique and different and we don't want to lose them, they're gonna have more power over us because we feel like we have more to lose. It's very simple, right? So the first thing is being able to let go. So why is it difficult to let go? Is because we feel like if you don't let go, you're not going to be okay afterwards. It's that simple. You feel like if you let go of this person, you're somehow going to end up unhappier. To be willing to let go, because that's going to set the precedent of being able to stay present, being able to be free of outcome, and also being able to let go of the fear that causes you to get defensive, the fear of if I'm not with him, this might happen. That narcissistic men have over you, right? So it's being willing to let go, and it's simply, and there's a simple solution to that, which is continually ask yourself if you're trying to feel better, right? And then ask yourself, well, what happened if I stop trying to feel better? And that will give you a glimpse as to what it is to let go. It's not that bad. It's actually quite simple. So another aspect of this, before I talk into the strategy, this is more about the overall strategy, looking at the whole war rather than looking at the battle. Lose the battle to win the war. You gotta learn. I'm gonna teach you guys how to lose battles intentionally to win wars. Because this is where it trips up narcissistic men, because most people they encounter have resistance. Most of the time, the battles are never won. For example, it's kind of like when I'm arguing about someone about basketball. Anytime somebody agrees with me, it's kind of sucks, because it's kind of like, fuck, I wanted you to argue with me, right? But then when somebody's arguing with me, I want to talk to them. I actually want to respond to them. I actually want to continue the conversation go, because it's an argument. But if you always agree with me that I don't want to argue with you because it's not fun, that's the thing with narcissism, is that it's fun arguing with someone. It's fun having someone who's opposing you, and you remove that from them, strategically losing battles. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to do it. Right. So first one, trying to prove someone wrong out of resentment. All right. So for example, remember I told you, intentionally lose battles so that you don't feel the resentment afterwards. If you lose a battle and you had a lot of investment in it, which is a wannabe word because he's always fucking right, you're gonna have a residual emotional block that's gonna continue on into the next day, and the next day is gonna accumulate. You're gonna feel resentful, and so that resentfulness is gonna make you defensive, and that defensiveness is gonna strengthen your guy's narcissistic tendencies. So what you want to do is get out of the habit of trying to prove them wrong, which is as soon as you feel resentful, as soon as you notice yourself, right, let go of it. Or else you're risking yourself to finish the battle, even though if you win or lose, but you're risking yourself afterwards. And mind you, arguments never win wars. They only win battles. You see, when you argue with someone, you don't really win. You're gonna be strategizing against you afterwards. You want to be the person who loses the battle, and it's okay with it. But this is more strategic, right? You're learning how to lose battles because when you learn how to, when you become okay with battle and being able to let go of it, it allows you to come the next day and being able to see the person who you believe is narcissism, and I see them through resentful eyes, and I say, "Fuck you, asshole! You need to change." You're able to see them with no defensiveness. You're like, "Oh, there you are." You're not looking at him through the eyes of the past. You're seeing them for the human being that they are right now. Certain level of compassion that comes from seeing the person for who they are rather than the person that they project. There is a certain level of compassion. And I'm telling you, this happens to me, right? Like, for example, my mom, she's not narcissism. My mom is a beautiful woman. I love her, right? But there are times that she tries to be right a lot, right? And so a part of me says, you know what, dude, it's okay. And I see her for what she is, and then I just have more compassion. You know, compassion goes a long way with people. And when you're resentful, when you're angry at the person because you lost the battle that you wanted to win, you're not going to feel that compassion. It's just how it is. That connection that you could have possibly had with this person. And when you see them with compassion, they begin to see themselves with compassion. They begin to see themselves for who they really are. They begin to see you not through their own projections, but through seeing you for who you are. And guess what? When you see someone through who they really are with compassion, because as a result, you see them with compassion yourself through the mirror neurons that we all have, there's some level of self-awareness in that. You cannot have compassion without some level of self-awareness. Right? The other one, Selective Confessions. I love this one, right? Confess to a wrongdoing and feel contrite. That would establish the reputation of you being someone who's honest. If the guy knows that you're always trying to be right as well, that you're like, you look, bitch, you're always trying to be right too, then anything you say is not really gonna get to him. But if he knows that there are times that you've been wrong and that you happily admitted to being wrong, then guess what? In his mind, your reputation is out of someone who is always trying to be right. It's someone who's honest. For example, it's kind of like with me in basketball. I don't like LeBron James, right? Oh, fuck, he likes LeBron James. But I don't like LeBron James. But something that I do is that sometimes when I want to win an argument, I'll act like I like LeBron. Like, oh yeah, I like LeBron James. Oh yeah, he's clutch. Oh yeah, right? And then people are like, oh wow, he really likes LeBron James. And then people are like, you know what? But there's one thing I don't like. So this is what tends to happen is that when you believe that someone's on your side and then suddenly they shift positions, well, damn, I mean, this person was agreeing with me. He has some common sense, right? Yeah, you good. He has some common sense. So, I mean, damn, I mean, if he disagrees with me, then he must be right somehow, right? So that's the point, is that you create the impression of someone who wrong, right? And then when it's time for you to really need to win a strategic battle, then you come out with your real points, with your good arguments. But you first have to lay the foundation. Most people just try to be right all the time, and that's not smart. You got to think ahead. See what I'm saying? All right. So number 6, selective honesty. All right. Reveal a weakness to let him open up. Right. For example, right, if you believe that he's always right, if you believe that he thinks he's always right, right, you want to have a moment of honesty. You know, whenever, and again, it's not when you guys are arguing, because a lot of times you try to be honest with someone when you're angry at them. Works. You're just being defensive once again. All right. So what you want to do is, when you guys are calm and relaxed in bed and just chilling and there's no arguments, you want to tell them, look, man, I know sometimes I try to act like I'm right a lot of the times, and it's something that I'm working on. All right. Act like you're the wrong one, right? Strategically speaking. Why? Because if he's someone who has some sanity, he's gonna say, you know what? Sometimes I do that too. If he doesn't, then you better start watching Dr. Phil, girl. So what tends to happen is that when he says, "Oh yeah, you're right about that. I do that too sometimes," then you want to talk about strategies. Like, what can we do to improve this? Because a lot of the times you try to solve your problems when you guys when there's an argument. That's not how it's done. You just making your mental positions even stronger. You want to find a moment when you both are calm and when you're the one who opens up. This, and you don't and don't say and don't wait for his turn, right? Allow him to naturally do what he believes he needs to be done. And let me tell you this: he humble himself in that position, then like you're dealing with something special. And remember the second thing I told you, you either might help him change with using these strategies, or he's gonna let go, and you're gonna lose him. And you know what? That's better for you. That's better for you. There's other things out there, you know. Um, Similar to what I said, have a fake belief and slowly change it to convince him. That's one. The last but not least is have your emotions in check. Don't raise your voice. If you feel defensive, notice and do the opposite. Outside of that, there's really not much you could do outside of force with this. Trying to convince them with logic and words is not going to work. This is an emotional problem. This is trying to use your logic to deal with emotions is not going to work. It's like an addict saying, I want to stop drinking. Okay, you could try to use your words, but you know what? This is more of an emotional problem than a logical problem that you could rationalize yourself out of. That's not going to happen. Sometimes you just got to realize that some guys are going to be the way they are for the rest of their lives. Some people are like that. You know. And I'm reading a comment when it says, Viviana Lee, these are practical, but when you're upset, that's very difficult. And that's the point. His defensiveness is making you defensive. You see, and so that's why you got to practice self-awareness. You see, you want to change the person, but you can't change your own reactions. That's the problem. It first starts with you. There's something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are mirror neurons are meant to help you have empathy as a human being, right? And they're expliciting some emotion, and you feel sadness when they feel sad. You can feel happy, and you feel happy, right? And also comes down to unconscious emotions. When you're interacting with someone and they get defensive, you get defensive. They get angry, you get angry, and they arise what's in you. Don't create it, they're arising in you. So if you get angry, that means they're triggering you something that's already inside. For example, it's kind of like I was watching a National Geographic show about a lion. No, about a tiger who was a leopard who was embarrassed by a bunch of hyenas, and the leopard had to fucking go up in the tree because the hyenas are fucking with him, right? And they literally and the leopard, but it had a lot of adrenaline, a shit ton of adrenaline, right? So when the hyenas left, the people who were in the jeep, the jeep, they're always white. White people love going to those kind of spaces, right? The tour guy was like, you know what, we're fucked. And they were like, why? Well, because this leopard has adrenaline rushing in his body, and when he sees us, he's gonna divert his aggression towards us because he couldn't take it towards the hyenas. And you know what the leopard did? He was angry, roared, looked their direction, started running after them. The Chiefs guy because he's the next one. He threw a hat at it, and the cheater ran away. What a pussy, right? A hat. So why did he do this? Because he had the bottled aggression. So what did he do? He redirected it towards somebody else. So the same thing that happens is that somebody builds up that aggression that's already inside of you. And so you feel the anger. So that anger, you think you're trying to help them out, but in reality, the anger that you're expressing is more of a defense mechanism. You're trying to feel better. It's more a way for you to deal with the stress. Now you're using your own anger, your own defensiveness. What's going to happen? You're going to trigger what hit defensiveness, and guess what? You're going to make it stronger. So that's what you got to. That's what you got to do, right? You have to defensiveness arising in you. Let go of it. Because if you don't let go of it, guess what? Not only is it corroding you, you corrode the other person. It is, man. Anyways, this is Alex from mindfulattraction.org. Let me see. The connection might be fuzzy. That's what I hear, right? Let me see. I'm reading some of the things people are saying. Um, yeah, man, and that's how it is, man. And it's something that you change them, but yo, you can't change them. See, you can't change it. Anyways, this is it, and take care and bye bye. One second. Um, somebody telling me what could you say to them? Well, I mean, look, it's not about what you say to them, man. You see, once again, you're back to the logical things. Not about what you say to them. It's about how reactive to them and having compassion. I'm telling you, like, literally, if you argue with them, have compassion for them, and you're gonna see them in a different light, and you might see that there's something transformative when you do that. It really is. You know what I'm saying? And and it's very difficult to have compassion when you're angry. That's what you want to practice. Just compassion. If you struggle with compassion, then start meditating. Angry motherfuckers. Start meditating, and you're gonna see the difference. There is a difference, man. And just use it as your own spiritual practice. These kind of arguments, use it as your own spiritual practice, and you're gonna see the results. Because if you use it as a spiritual practice, you're gonna naturally either deviate from him, or he's gonna change. It's one of those two things, and nothing more, nothing less. All right. Anyways, it's Alex from mindfulattraction.org. If you guys want one-on-one coaching, just go to mindfulattraction.org /coach in the pocket. If you guys want to attend the seminar, just go to mindfulattraction.org /events. You're gonna see the link below on the thing. And that's it. And have a good day. Bye bye.